Hakeem Dawodu versus Mike Trizano. We got minus 190 on the Canadian and plus 160 the return on the Tiger Schulman product. Now, Mike Trizano is coming off a successful trip to the Octagon last time around against Ludovic Klein, where he was able to spring a pretty big upset over Klein that night, winning that fight via decision. A little bit of a controversial decision, some people would say. Really depends on how you score those takedowns on Ludovic Klein, but I feel as though we're probably not going to see any takedowns in this fight with Hakeem Dawodu and Trizano, who are more than likely going to try to flex their Muay Thai skills and see who ends up coming out on top. Now, I do believe that Dawodu is the slightly more busier party of the two, averaging 4.72 significant strikes per 15 minutes, whereas on the flip side with Trizano, you got 3.22 significant strikes per 15 minutes. Trizano will have a 3-inch height advantage, but he will be at a 2-inch reach disadvantage. So I'm going to kind of call that reach advantage a little bit of a wash, considering that we have a taller fighter in Trizano in the spot. Trizano does like using his leg kicks. He does have a pretty good understanding of his distance and his range management, but I think that his lead leg is going to get torched up here by Hakeem Dawodu just to kind of close that distance and then eventually move forward and start letting his hands go as well. I think ultimately the output and volume of Hakeem Dawodu will be the reason he ends up getting his hand raised in this fight, but I don't feel super convicted, especially at that minus 190 range. I do believe that it's roughly accurate. That's where the line should be, but more often than not in Hakeem Dawodu fights, we get very close fights. And Trizano, in my opinion, will be competitive in this fight. So it will be quite close, but I just don't think that there's enough juice here to squeeze for the Trizano side as a plus 160 dog. I do think the Canadian gets his hand raised here, and I do think he gets it done via decision, but I'm not holding that minus 190 ticket. It's going to be a close fight. It's going to come down to numbers, possibly, some significant moments, but neither guy really does anything in terms of, dropping his opponents or rocking or hurting his opponents. Both guys are pretty clean, crisp, and disciplined with their striking, but I'm going to give the edge to Dawodu here just due to output, and I think he'll be the more busier fighter out of the two. So official prediction here will be Hakeem Dawodu, and I'll take him by decision.